Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I'll be going over a handful of things that I wish I knew when I first started playing 7 Days to Die. A couple of the topics I'm going to go over I have featured in previous videos, but they are really useful and really important for new players, so they're in this one as well. I apologise if you've watched them already. Now let's jump straight in. Smooth exit. The first thing I'm going to go over is something that is blindingly obvious. Yeah, I completely missed it the first time I played with this book mechanic. If you've read the book and you already know the skill, you'll see an open book icon. If you haven't read it, there'll be a closed book icon. The same goes for magazines. If you've completed a set, the book will go to open. Once you've completed a set or learnt a book, you can read it for more XP, but it's not worth it. Instead, sell it to a trader. Not only will you get dukes, but you'll get considerably more XP than if you just read the book, as you can see there. That was 50 by the way, not 180. During the early stages of the game, feathers are everything. You need feathers to craft arrows, and trust me, you'll go through a lot of arrows if you don't already know that. While you can go ahead and just loot the contents of a bird's nest, you can get a few extra feathers. Don't ask me how this logic works, because it doesn't. But if you search the bird nest, leave everything in there, and then break the bird nest, as you see there in the bottom right of the screen, I got some feathers. Then I can loot the bird nest, which is now a backpack for some reason. We're not going to ask questions. And I can get the original 5. So instead of getting just 5, I got an extra 3. So when you see a bird's nest, don't loot it. Look in it. Get away from it, smack it a bit, then loot it. Speaking of nests, just a quick one. This isn't a tip or anything, I just found this interesting. Trader Jen has a few nests herself. That was all. Moving on. If you find yourself in a position where I am now, where there's a few zombies around and I don't really have anything to get rid of them, you can use rocks. Whatever platform you're playing on, hold the button to throw. And just like you'd throw any sort of grenade, you can throw rocks. And the sound is supposed to make them go over to it and leave you alone, as you can see there. This one can be really handy if you've stayed out a little bit too late and you're out past 10 and you're a bit scared. Use a few rocks and distract the zombies. I should also mention, you can throw them at the zombies. Why you would want to do that, other than for entertainment, I don't know. But it doesn't really do a lot, it just bounces off their spongy heads. This next one, it took me ages to figure this one out. In fact, I don't think I've figured it out. I think I first learnt about it in a fact video on YouTube, so I've gone full circle here. You can actually pick up things like your forge and your workbench. As you can see here, I've placed them down. We'll all do this, you'll get your little temporary base set up and then you'll want to move. And unfortunately, all you can do is interact with them. However, throw down a land claim block, and then you can hold the interact button and actually pick up the items. Now, you should note that they need to be empty. So if you've got a bunch of smelted materials in your forge, you will have to get them out before you can pick it up. The same if you got stuff in your workbench, etc. But you can pick all these things up. Unfortunately, you can't pick up empty storage boxes, so don't upgrade them to iron or steel until you're in your forever base, and even then you don't necessarily need to upgrade them, but still, it's your life. When you start venturing out to go mining, you might find it difficult coming across the right ore nodes. Well, there's an easy way of figuring that out, and like all of the other entries on this list, it took me way too long. These colours on the map are not just pretty colours. If you zoom in on your map, each of these colours represents a different ore. If I remember rightly, the dark brown ones, that's iron. White is nitrate. The blue ones are lead. The oil shale is light brown. That's a little bit harder to see. I am standing near one. Move my name out of the way, but I'll carry on looking at it. There. It's a little bit harder to see, but you can still see it. And coal is black. I'm not going to find coal here. I'll need to go up here, but it's usually pretty easy to see because it is a dark colour. Like that. While we're on the subject of mining, for the most part, you'll find coal in the snow biome, you'll find oil shale in the desert, and everything else is kind of a mix, but you'll mostly find them in the forest region and in the desert. You can also find various nodes in the wasteland and in the burnt forest, but they're kind of few and far between. Stick to the desert and forest mostly, and occasionally venture into the snow biome if you want to get some extra nodes of coal. One of the first things you should build when you start a playthrough is a bone knife. These are not only pretty good weapons, but using a knife gets you more materials when you're harvesting from animals. So if I just use a regular axe on this lovely deceased rabbit with a shaky leg, you can see in the bottom right, I get, let's open it up, 1 leather, 5 bone, 6 raw meat. Okay, I'm going to drop those. With the bone knife, I'm just going to do it like that, I get 10, 2, and 7, which is considerably more than the 1, 5, and 6. I did that in the wrong order, but you get my point. I mentioned the land claim block earlier on in the video, but it has another use. I'm going to show the bounds of it, and we're going to head outside my little base here. You can see the bounds, it's quite big. You can place up to, I believe it's 3 land claim blocks that you can have active at any one time. One of the beauties of these is they stop enemies from spawning. So within this radius, zombies cannot spawn. This is perfect if you've moved into an existing POI. I'm sure there will be a handful of new players out there who will come back to their base one night only to find that there are a few zombies have spawned inside and they've got no idea why. That's why. When you're making your way through any POI, it doesn't matter which one, you will find lights. Whether they're ceiling lights, wall lights, or just torches and stuff placed on the floor or walls. They are there to guide you. Every POI you go through will have these, even the small ones. When in doubt, follow the lights. You can sort of cheese POIs and go in through, should I say the back way? I don't know, but going through the rear. That sounds worse, I like it. You can cheat a little bit and go in through the rear, and that does make it easier. But if you are lost and you're not sure what to do, especially if you're trying to do a clear mission and you can't find that room filled with zombies that always seems to elude you, but you haven't killed enough yet for those markers to pop up, it's a whole thing, I'm not getting into it. But look out for lights because they will guide you through every POI and make it considerably easier. The last little thing I'm going to go over in this one is something that's been in the game for a very long time, and that is hidden loot. In almost every POI, there will be a loose floorboard, a picture frame that's hollow, there'll be something, or even just a high shelf. There's always plenty of hidden loot to be found. You might also find stuff that's just slightly out of reach, like this one up here. More often than not, it's not going to be anything too spectacular, but you never know. So keep an eye out, smash picture frames, look for anything that doesn't look particularly strong. If it looks like a hiding place for loot, it probably is a hiding place for loot. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this interesting. It goes without saying, this was for beginners. It'll be in the title of the video. I've had a couple of veteran players in the past make comments about how they didn't learn anything. Of course you didn't. It's for beginners. Beginner. One other quick thing before I go. Thanks for the support recently on the channel. I've seen a massive influx in subscribers and it's just incredible. I am working on a gameplay series that'll be out soon, and I also saw that somebody gave me a little shout out on Reddit, so whoever that was, thank you very much. It's all greatly appreciated.